All right, welcome to lesson 83 of Saxon Math, course 2 of Saxon Math. We're going to multiply numbers in scientific notation. It's a little bit tricky, not too bad, but once you get the hang of it, it's really quite easy. So let's go ahead and get started, take a look at it. All right, so we know from prior lessons that when we see 10 to the third power, that means 10 times 10 times 10, or if it's the fourth power, it would be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So if we were to multiply these two together, right, that would be, we'd have 7 total tens. So that's 10 to the 7th power. Or as we know, when we multiply, we add our exponents. So we should all know that when we multiply the powers of the same base, we add the exponents. And that's easy enough to do. I think we all know how to do that. So let's see how we do this with our scientific notation. So here, it's asking us to multiply these two together. Well, when we break it all down, we'll know there's 4 things, right? You got 1.2 times 10 to the 5th times 3 times 10 to the 7th. Now, using your commutative property, we can take those and regroup them so they're like this. And then using the associative property, we use the commutative property, to break them apart. And then the associative property used to group them in our groups like this. And then we just simply simplify it. We take 3 times 1.2 and get 3.6, and 10 to the 5th times 10 to the 7th, we get 10 to the 12th, because 5 plus 7 equals 12. And it's already in scientific notation, so we don't need to do anything more with it. So this becomes this. Okay? All right, let's practice one. I'll do this one for you, and then you can do the next one with the video paused. So I'm going to take first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my 4 times my 3, and I'm going to take my 10 to the 6th times my 10 to the 5th. So when I multiply this, I get 12, and when I multiply this, I get 10 to the 11th power. But it's not scientific notation. 12 times 10 to the 11th power is not scientific notation. I have to move my decimal over to there, so I get 1.2, and because I'm moving it to here, that's going to be a plus 1, or times 10 to the 1, right? You go 10 to the 1, add those together. So we're going to get 10 to the 12th. So our answer to this should be 1.2 times 10 to the 12th. You got to remember to get it in scientific notation with your decimal past the first non-zero trailing number. With no trailing zeros, the first number right here. Not after the 2, but after the 1. All right, and there it is. Yeah, right there. Okay? All right, you get the idea? Okay, let's see if you can do this one here. One thing that makes this one a little bit more tricky is the negatives. Go ahead and pause the video, do it, and then let's see if you can get the right answer. Okay, so we're going to pull out our 2 times our 3, and we're going to multiply it by 10 to the negative 5 times 10 to the negative 7. And this is going to give us 6 times, and negative 5 plus negative 7 is a negative 12. If we start at negative 7, we go 5 more to the negative, we're going to end up at negative 12. Is this already in scientific notation? Sure it is. Yeah, if you wanted to, you could write it 6.0 times 10 to the negative 12, couldn't you? And there's your answer. All right, let's try another one. All right, go ahead, you do it. Pause it. Work it. Okay. I pull out my 5, and I pull out my 7. I pull out my 10 to the 3rd power times my 10 to the negative 8 power. All right, I know this is 35. And I look at this, I got 3 plus a negative 8. Well, if I'm at 3 on the number line, and then I've got to go to my left to my negative 5 spots, I know I'm going to end up at a negative 5. So 10 to the negative 5. But I'm not in scientific notation yet. I got to bring this over 1, which gives me a 10 to the 1. So now I've got 3.5 times 10, and negative 5 plus a 1 is negative 4. So I've got 3.5 times 10 to the negative 4. Is that the answer you got? I hope it is. And there it is, right there. All right. Okay, let's try a couple more on our practice set. I'm not going to break it out anymore. I'm just kind of mental math this for us. Let's see if you can mental math it. All right, that's going to be 15. That's going to be 10 to the 12. Get this in scientific notation, which adds 1. So I'm going to be 1.5 times 10 to the 13th. That's the answer to that one. Go ahead and work that bottom one. See if you get the right answer. Start up the video. Okay, I've got 42. Because I multiply those two together. I add those two together, so I get times 10 to the negative 7. But I've got to get this in scientific notation. That gives me a plus 1. So I've got 4.2 times 10 to the negative 6. And that would be my answer there. Hopefully you got that. There's your TIDs. Work on them tonight. Bring your questions tomorrow. We'll do the math tomorrow as a group or individually. We'll work on math in math class. And thanks for watching the video. See you tomorrow.